This game's hard enough and you don't want to be a sucker. That's what I'm going to teach you in this video. I've got a real gold nugget for you today, an awesome piece of information that you can use when analyzing stocks, gold, silver stocks, but also almost any other stock. If Rick Rule were here with me in the basement today, he didn't show up, but if he were, I am sure he would give my idea, what I'm about to teach you, a big thumbs up. But since he didn't show up and you did, I want to say thank you for joining me in the basement. We're going to learn something very important today. Warren Buffett has said, common sense isn't all that common. And what I'm about to teach you is common sense. However, if you're like most people, you may not have thought about this. I actually learned this from a retired Goldman Sachs person years back, and I've always used it when I'm analyzing any stock, but in particular, the gold and silver, precious metals or metals mining stocks. Let's dig in right now. This concept is easy to understand, and we like that, right? First thing we're going to have to do is play a little make-believe. So in your mind, visualize that you have an investment portfolio that's worth exactly $1 million. That feels pretty good. Maybe some of you have investment portfolios above that, but for demonstration purposes here in the basement, we all have individual portfolios worth $1 million. In that portfolio, we have $650,000 of it invested into one stock. We're going to call it Ron's Basement Mining Stock, okay? And then we have another stock, bunch of other stocks that are all like $10,000 each. Which stock do you think you're going to pay the most attention to? I don't even need to answer that for you, right? You're going to pay attention to the one that has $650,000 because that's where your money is. That's where your skin is, right? While Rick Rule did not make it to the basement today, you did, and I appreciate that. You're important, and I'm honored that you decided to spend a little of your valuable time with me here in the basement. You're always welcome. Please subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, turn on the little bell notification. That way you get alerted every time I put out a new video. And that's exactly the position you want the CEO and top management of any company that you own stock in to be in. You want them to have a majority or a big part of their net worth invested into the company stock that they are running. You want them to have skin in the game, true alignment with the shareholders. All CEOs will say they're looking out for the best interest of their shareholders, but you can rest assured that if your CEO has a majority of his personal net worth in the company, he really is looking out for the best interest of the shareholder. And this is where it can be easy to make a mistake when analyzing a company. You may look at a company's presentation and see that they have 20% inside ownership. And maybe it's a $50 million company. And you think, wow, and they brag like 20% of our stock is owned by our CEO or our chairman of the board, whatever the case may be. That total amount, 20% of 50 million, is $10 million. Now that chairman or that CEO that owns that $10 million worth of stock may be a billionaire. If he is, that's only 1% of his personal net worth. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't care about the company or isn't somewhat aligned with the shareholders, but in terms of his net worth, that's a sliver, and it's not going to really be any skin off his back if the company goes bust. On a related note, you saw this happen a lot over the last 3 or 4 years when Eric Sprott, Canadian billionaire resource investor, spread out his wealth into a lot of smaller investments in some small junior mining companies. A lot of these mining companies would brag that Eric Sprott owns 10%. Eric Sprott owns 15% of the company. That is certainly not a bad thing, and it is a vote of confidence, right? Eric Sprott has a team of top-notch analysts working for him, But those positions, those $10 million, $15 million, $5 million positions, while that's a ton of money to you and me, that's just a sliver of his wealth. What you want to see is that insiders have a big portion of their net worth invested in the company. You might have a $100 million company that only has 2% inside ownership. The CEO has $2 million worth of the stock, but that CEO may only be worth $3 million or $2.5 million. So he is totally aligned with the shareholders, and I would venture to say maybe very, very motivated for the company to succeed, the stock to do well, and for him to get rich with the stockholders. Now, I want to give you two real world examples where this is the case. The first, Equinox Gold. Number one, Ross Beatty, Canadian billionaire resource investor, owns about 8, 9, 10% of the company. That's a lot of money for him. Hundreds of millions of dollars, okay? But more importantly, the management team, Christian Milau, the CFO, Greg Smith, I've heard all of them say several times that they have a big, big portion of their personal net worth invested in Equinox Gold stock. That might only account for 0.5% of the total float. That doesn't matter because to me, those guys have a lot of their own personal money invested in the stock. They are very vested, very aligned. As a matter of fact, you can watch a video interview with the CFO of Equinox Gold recently where towards the end of the video, he says this exact same thing, that the management likes to joke that they've got a big portion of their net worth invested in the company, while Ross Beatty has a huge amount invested in the company. One more company where I know this is also the case is First Mining Gold. Dan Wilton, the CEO there, he has shared that he has a big part of his personal net worth invested in First Mining Gold stock. He's a dedicated CEO who's been with the company for 3.5 years. Check them out as well. Hey, I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope you learned something. That's something that a lot of people just don't necessarily think about on their own, and it can be easy to be misled into thinking, oh, if this company has XYZ amount of inside ownership, it's got to be a great investment. That's not always the case. Just a little factor that might give you a little edge in your investing. Thanks for watching. I'm going to look forward to seeing you again soon.